Let's go into exclusionary practices in schools. One thing that we do, and I'm a victim of this, is failing to decenter ourselves. Okay, now I was one of those teachers. I was used to being taught where the teacher stands in front of the class, the whole sage on the stage. Teacher does their lecture thing. They give us the information that we're supposed to learn, and then they ask for that information back via a test, quiz, exams, whatever, homework. Right? Those are ways that they expect us to do it. However, we need to change our mindset and move into a more decolonial mindset. So if we're trying to decenter ourselves as an adult, as educators, as human beings, we need to consider, okay, am I doing all of the heavy lifting, if you will? Because school is for the kids. It's not for me. Yeah, I have standards. Yeah, I have benchmarks and all those kind of things. Some things we can't get around. And even I would say, a lot of us as educators, we we have a lot of similar identities for our students, and we feel like, okay, well, I can identify with a lot of my students, and so as a result, I know what they need. Or we have that mindset of, my kids can't do this, and so I'm just going to give them what I know that they can do. Right? Instead, we need to co-learn or co-teach, right? Learn from our students just as much as they're learning from us. Otherwise, we're excluding them in that process, in their own learning process. Another thing that we do, some people don't think about how important or detrimental, if you will, and exclusionary, if you will, when it comes to allowing kids to sleep in class. Okay? Oh, well, honestly, a lot of us will say, well, it's easier if Johnny is sleeping than if he's awake. However, those are some practices that are exclusionary. And often we see a disproportionality when it comes to who's sleeping in our class. Okay. Are we spending all of our time, for example, maybe chasing folks down with taking off hoodies and hats and all that, which has absolutely nothing to do with their academic performance, the way someone's dressed. But I digress. Another one is something to consider when it comes to exclusionary practices is we have to keep in mind that everything a child does is some form of some form of communication. So that means that if we aren't paying attention, we may miss that message. What is a student trying to tell us when they are sleeping in class? Are they telling us that our class is not engaging? Are they telling us that maybe they worked 2 shifts last night? All right, but there's whatever form of communication that's out there that our students are displaying. Okay, the way they walk into your class, the way that they move. When we talk about having a social emotional learning lens, okay, that's a check-in. See how students walk into our classroom. Do they seem like they're smiling? Do they seem like they're in a good mood or not? Do they look tired? Do they look hungry? Do they look frustrated? That might set the tone for the class period, right? We don't always have the time to pull kids to the side and ask them how their day is going. But if we can find ways to check in with our students in between transitions, maybe, or just, a brief little moment, just to kind of give them a little eye contact and say, hey, you good? Like, quick one, those kind of things. But everything that a child does is a form of communication.